I'm grateful for everyone to join us today, and Happy New Year. It's our first meeting of the new year. And congratulations to Tommy Myers and your team for the great work over this snowy weekend. And I'm grateful that we are all here to begin this meeting. Item number 1 on the agenda is special presentations and public comments. Is there anyone here to offer a public comment to the council? Please indicate. I don't see anyone. And our item 1A, introduction of our new city forester. Sadly, the city forester is under the weather today, which is understandable with the recent weather we've had, and we will be introducing him formally at our next city council meeting. My apologies for the change in the agenda. That takes us directly to item number 2 on the agenda, which is our report from Mr. Fivas, who is in consultation with Mr. Varnell at the moment. Mr. Fivas, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. As the mayor had echoed and several other council members have expressed, I think our emergency services, which includes our fire department, our police department, our public works, and our parks and recreation and maintenance people, they take care of like a lot of the sidewalks around, and did a decent amount of work on some of that, especially on Thursday. Want to extend our gratitude for their exemplary work. We had extra people in for the fire department in case there was something that had to happen. We had Tommy Myers worked for, oh goodness, probably 36 hours or so. Yeah, so all their people were trading off in their shifts on trying to keep things closed. We're happy to announce that we didn't have any damage to any of our trucks, or our trucks didn't hit anyone, which is always difficult when you're dealing with snow and other drivers and a lot of those issues. So we appreciate what the chiefs did on getting prepared. I think they have it down pretty well. Tommy Myers and his team did a great job, and I think that there is a cost to that, but as I shared with Tommy, that the costs don't really matter as far as keeping people safe, and they're going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $75,000 to $100,000 on salt and a lot of those other issues and labor and all those things. But as far as we get one of these events every 2 to 3 years, and we know to have that. We did have new trucks and had new spreaders and plows, and I think they worked just fine. Which was better than the other ones that were literally about to rust off the trucks. So we appreciate that. And does anyone have any questions about our response, or any thoughts or questions about our emergency response over the weekend?
How much salt do we have left, Tommy?
Probably about 100 tons, something like that. We used probably about 500 to 600 tons to go around.
Okay. Y'all did a heck of a job.
Joe, does that include buying salt to replace what you put out, Tommy?
Christy Powers is in the process of trying to locate us some salt and get it delivered to us.
Okay.
Yeah, we had already had the salt, so we had already spent on that. To replace it, it's probably that.
Okay, so that's the total bill, and
that's
we've
the
got
replacement
replacements either in place or coming.
Working on it.
Yeah, working on it, yeah,
So,
yeah.
Winter, it's not over,
No,
unfortunately.
no, yeah, I understand, Joe.
All right. We are moving, if no one has any other comments on that, we are moved on Inman and Wildwood at that intersection, at the Y intersection tomorrow. We got notified that they're gonna be doing some pretty significant, traffic light work there, and that intersection will be closed. You wanna give an update on that, David?
Clean Utilities is wiring the intersection, and they'll have it closed for the duration of the day. Yeah. So a lot of that has to do with the lane changes that we made. Signal head, brand new signal heads, new wiring, it'll all be brand new.
So will people be able to go up Wildwood and around, or how will
We'll have
detour?
closures on Inman at Linden, we'll have closures at Wildwood, at Dooley, that, pretty much the entire triangle. Dooley on the health department will be open, so that'll be the detour route, coming in from Inman and coming in from Wildwood.
Yeah, folks coming on 64 to Inman, where they're gonna be routed, like people coming into work.
You'll be allowed to, you'll be forced to turn left at
Dooley?
Dooley,
Okay.
and, detour route posted to get to Third Street and,
Yeah.
Okay.
that route.
Do
Either Third-
you think they could start after 8:15 or so? Is
Oh,
that-
they are.
Okay.
So the morning traffic is gonna be.
That's that's a high flow.
Be able to
Usually
go.
when we shut roads down like that, we wait till 8:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe, also noticed that the traffic signal on Mouse Creek at the Battery is on blinking. When will it be operating?
We have to get the stop bars placed on the side street, on the concrete, on the two driveway sides, including Utilities has some minor cabinet work to do, but, yeah, once we get those two things done, then we'll be all clear to take it off flashing operation.
So we're probably 30 days or so?
To do those things?
Yeah.
Well, the stop bars, we're just waiting on weather. We really need it to be, those stop bars will not adhere to the concrete. We just need a couple, like one good day of weather, and then have
Okay,
staff available to put the stop bars down. Yeah.
good.
We can heat asphalt up, but we can't heat the concrete up.
Concrete, yeah, I understand. Thank you.
All right, one thing, that we've noticed, and I think I've had some conversations with the county, and I think the mayor's had some conversations with the county, is that, the growth boundary, questions, there's a lot of discussion at the county as far as, that they don't wanna make any changes in the growth boundary. And, I think the mayor and I are planning on going and having a meeting with the county leadership, county mayor, and trying to understand that a little bit more. And, we do have our committee members, the 3 committee members that have been appointed, but I think we just want to understand is, because they have not given us any suggested changes. I think what they're indicating is that they just don't want to make any changes in the growth boundary. The growth boundary, and I pulled it up just so we can articulate this a little bit better, is that most of the growth boundary that we've talked about right here, that 2/3 of what we're proposing is the exact same growth boundary as what is in place now. The only places where we're really changing anything is out here to the north, out here, and out at exit 20. We have we have some projects out here that will, that are a part of this. We have some projects that we know are coming in on this leg going north. That one thing that we want to make sure that we articulate is that if the growth boundary actually helps county residents, because then we have to do one of those, if there's a growth boundary, then we do one of those agreements that's a negotiation between the city and the county. If we don't expand the growth boundary, then we'll use our other options that require no county input. So it's in their best interest to have a wider growth boundary, because then they're sitting at the table with an ability to have comments and be a part of that, and that's what we had articulated. So the question to the council today, and we may want to come back and after the mayor and I talk to Mayor Davis and his team, is how do you, any advice or suggestions on how you want to proceed with Mayor Brooks and myself speaking with them. It's clearly in the county residents' best interest. You know, we have issues where last year we were the largest industrial manufacturing job provider in the state. That we have another 1,000 jobs opening up just in Spring Branch Industrial Park in the next year. And we need to be able to have adequate housing for that. And I think a lot of our friends and neighbors and employees would tell you that it's a very difficult housing market right now. Being able to have more housing options keeps the housing market competitive. And that's really what we're just trying to do, is trying to allow for, as our jobs grow, is to actually have places for many of these people to live and not have rentals and home ownership be not attainable. I think that you know, there's just a lot of reasons why having that flexibility, not to mention when we annex into the county, is that we provide, you know, there's an article this weekend in the newspaper as far as the building permits and all that. The county essentially is a winner if we annex that. We take all the services, all the costs of that, and then they get their revenue on top of that. So, you know, I think that from a revenue standpoint, the county should be interested in seeing the city be able to grow continuously and to go. And it certainly can't be that they are anti-growth, because them themselves have cited, you know, residential lots of 500 and several hundred in the last few months, so it can't be that. So I think that the mayor and I are going to go and talk to them, and I just wanted to give the opportunity to the council to give us any thoughts or direction as we go and have that conversation.
Vice Mayor?
Joe, I think it's important too to note that we were sensitive when those boundaries were being drawn, the proposed boundaries, that they did not exceed an area where Cleveland Utilities could serve that area. We were real sensitive to that, and I think that's an important part of what's being proposed here.
Yeah, and what Vice Mayor Webb is talking about is that our boundaries weren't really even the city putting them together. It was mostly Cleveland Utilities and using their professional engineers and consulting engineers to come up with what are the areas that we can provide sewer. We want to be open for business. If people want to come in and be a part of Bradley County and the city, we certainly want to be able to provide sewer to all those people, and that's really what we're trying to articulate, and I think that's what Vice Mayor Webb was saying.
Any other comments from the council? Mr. Travis, go ahead, Councilman.
One man's opinion, I'm not necessarily speaking for all of us, but I don't want to jeopardize the timeline. If you guys are going to talk with the mayor, when I read the paper, it's not the mayor, it's the committee and the county commission. And I like the narrative you're trying to put together. Oh, can't believe it's in their best interest. It's not in my backyard. That's their, yeah, fine. Not my backyard. And so the only tool we have is to send it to the state. So I don't want to slow the process down. Let's get the committee's meeting. Let's stay with the timeline. If we can't come to an agreement, let's go on. You know, if there's no movement on their side, let's move on. We've got somebody that can adjudicate this.
And Mr. Travis, I'll just speak to that from our last meeting as a group. we're very cognizant of the deadline.
Good.
And very cognizant of the fact that if we can't come to an agreement, it will be arbitrated at the state level. And quite frankly, we were trying to come to an agreement or a compromise so it didn't get to that point,
It would be better, but I stand by our map.
certainly.
This, and there's things you can compromise, but for the best of all Bradley County, I think all of us agree, are on the same page. So walk in there with that understanding. They move.
Okay, Vice Mayor?
I agree what you said. It's for the betterment of Bradley County, not just the city of Cleveland.
That's the narrative he's
Yeah.
putting. I agree, you know, and I like that approach.
Mr. Fivas, would you mind, there was a statement from the committee, from the commission, that was printed stating one of the reasons it doesn't make any sense to enlarge the growth boundaries is that the city has not currently utilized all the available land within the current boundary, and you did a great job of literally pointing parcel by parcel that that's factually not an accurate statement.
Yeah, I mean,
It doesn't make any
out,
sense.
and just to orient, just kind of talk about this conversation is that we do, because what they're saying is, yeah, you still have some blue area here that you can grow into. And so why do we need to do this? But the reality is, this area out here in the blue, Cleveland Utilities, well, first of all, this is, and I'm sorry that you don't have a map that you can look at, but this is all, these are all houses built around the edge of the city. So there's already people that live in there, they're county residents that live in our growth boundary, that there's no, very little development that can go. So all of this area, you get down further south here, you get very difficult to have Cleveland Utilities be able to get sewer down on the south side of, there's a dividing line between the basins as far as where the water drains, and it's somewhere in here. So the only areas that we can really grow are, there's no sewer right here in this area, and this is mostly the Hardwick property. And that's
Which is
that's
not in the city.
Which is not in part of the city. This area out here, which is owned, is either developed or it's owned by one person that doesn't, there. Out here, this is all developed out here, and that's the purpose of expanding the growth boundary, is because our areas that are growth have already been developed either in the county or by the city, and we need to be able to provide affordable housing and actual housing for a lot of the people, job providers that are coming here. We think that there's options out here for, in the best interest of Bradley County, for people to be able to have some selection of where they want to live and all that stuff. So does that answer your question?
It does.
Is most of this blue area is all built out. One property owner, you have some agricultural areas in here that aren't really developable. And these areas out here are already pretty much built out. So that's what we're, so what happens is, if we don't have the growth boundary, essentially we can't grow anymore. And when we can't grow anymore, either we reduce our services, or we don't, or we have to raise revenues to be able to react, because we can't keep up with the growth and all the services and all the issues that are surrounding with that.
Those 2 points, yes. For the third is, planners can't control the growth, and so bad things happen. That's the worst of all, right? If we just don't do anything, and then it just happens willy-nilly, and there's not a thoughtful planning, it costs more on the initial side, and then it's gonna cost more to clean it up later. It needs to be controlled by people who look out for the benefit of the citizens.
And that's important to realize, this is not an annexation tool, this is a planning tool.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which has been stated multiple times
Mhm.
at the meeting.
Is it being taken as an annexation? Is that the threat?
I think it's being misunderstood and misrepresented
Yeah.
as annexation.
You know, I want to reiterate, Mayor, if I can, a couple of years ago, the racetrack was a good example. And the way the county grow their tax base, it's really easy. I think that person who bought that property was $15,000 a year on taxes. And after it's developed, after the city does all the stuff, you went through the process, then their tax base moved from 15,000 to $250,000. So how better way to grow your tax base for the county? To me, it doesn't make any sense why you wouldn't take advantage of that.
Yeah, I mean, the neighborhood that we did out, I don't remember what it was called. Down here by Brimer Creek, that we had, you know, to your point, that neighborhood will bring $700,000-800,000 annually to the county. And it'll bring about the same to us, but we have to provide all the services. That's the best deal there you could ever have, is you get all the money and don't have to do anything for it.
Yeah. And the tax base probably was just pennies on the dollar.
Like alimony.
Oh, for what it was probably, instead of 700 a year, you're probably 20,000.
It's in the green belt, I'm sure.
This is the one at glasses.
So y'all, you're saying the agricultural would be hard to develop? Is that impossible, or? I'm just curious, why are some spots?
Which area are you talking about?
Well, we went down the left side of the.
There's the two big farms.
Harrison Pike, Blythewood, and Bendabow.
It's just,
Yeah.
it'll
So
make
they're well-established farms that are thousands of acres that are gonna be developed into.
That answers.
Well, and I think, Joe, to summarize, I'm very thankful for this conversation. I'm very thankful that the council can now see what the members of the committee that were appointed by the council who've been listening to these arguments, how you can be the #1 county of job growth and manufacturing and still be the county that says we're not interested in urban growth boundary. Those two statements are incongruent. And so I'm thankful for this discussion. I look forward to it continuing.
We'll keep everyone updated. And Robert, what is the timeline?
We've got to be finalized, which means all legislative bodies have a decision by April, I believe it's 11th or somewhere in that ballpark. But that means all our work's done and we've sent everything into the state for ideally approval based on our ability to work something out together. So we've got about really a month and a half, 2 months to do all that. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
If there aren't any more questions on that, I'll move on to the next slide. The, wanted to bring up and take a few minutes and this is essentially the same information that we had passed out when we had met in October on the city schools request for funds. I anticipate that I think there's one given, that we have to figure out how to build some other capacity in the schools. And we don't know what that process looks like. I think that what the numbers show that they will need some more things. So we have to go through and figure out, well, what does that mean and how can we get there? The schools have asked to start construction next year on many of these projects, and I handed you out a sheet that goes over that. So we'll probably be talking about this on a monthly basis until we get to the budget. This is gonna be rather complicated and difficult. I think that we've done harder things, but I think that it's better to have the communication and to start having the dialogue. So what I'm gonna go over is generally the same information that I passed out in October as kind of a primer, because I think that we're going to be spending the next few months of spending a decent amount of time looking at that. So this thing, and I tried to get that in much larger print, and that's tricky, and I want to read it, is that the city will have to significantly invest in city schools over the next 8 years. Fiscal 26-year budget will likely be the best time to put revenues in place with a tax increase. The tax increase will likely be between 45 and 86, depending, this is the qualifier, depending on the actual timing of the construction cycle. If the plan changes, these numbers can change, but if the plan that we have in front of us and everything we know. However, we'll sharpen our pencils, we'll work closely and collaborate with the school board and strategically come up with the best long-term strategies for taxpayers, the city, and city schools. The next couple of council meetings will explore the financial options with our third-party bond financing. They might have something at the next meeting. They're getting close, and where they'll be able to show where you can sell your bonds and how that will actually look in the totality. And it will look different than the document that you have. Couple key points. You can go to the next document. The next document. This is, I think, still accurate. I've handed this to you. I'm not going to go through that because I think the city school board may be coming and doing this at the next meeting. But basically, the intermediate school, which is scheduled for construction in 25, 27, and I think that may have been moved to 26. That's $79 million, and this is without purchasing land. And then if you go up, it goes through the timeline, at the same time, phase 1 of the Cleveland High School project, and this is the CTE wing, and kind of the cost and the timeline, and you can go, and so providing that information as we start exploring this, and if you need more information, please let us know. I'm not going to go through all of the different projects, but that you have that information. You can go to the next one. I do want to I talked about this, but I don't think we pulled it up on the document and looked at it, and I want you to see a couple things on what some of the strains are that we will have going into this issue. I guess I could do it myself, couldn't I?
You can try.
There you go. So here is our tax supported debt. And you have a copy of this there. Your tax supported debt until 32 out here this is about $10 million, and it has the exact dollar amount that we have to pay as things stand right now. So you get out to 32 and things are very, we're probably in the neighborhood of having 20 million in total debt, which is unbelievable for a community our size, if we can get through these few years. The problem is, if you bond in 26 and have to make bond payments, we'll go to this and have a look at it. So let's say if we need $150 million debt total, for the high school and for the intermediate school, that essentially, the proposed debt service is about 10 million. So to go back to this, problem is you put $10 million on the top of this, and we don't have that money available right now, because we would bond the money, give it to schools, and they would build that. We would have to do this debt payment, and that's very difficult because it's kind of plus plus. We're already maxed out in what we can afford. Then you put 10 million on top of that, so you need to come up with cash to be able to make those debt payments. Every year that we get closer out here, and you see it starts stepping down, it starts to get much easier, and when you get out here, that's fine. This creates a short-term issue, but it could, let's say we sold the debt in 26, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is that we might have to come up with about $45 million cash just to make the debt payments to get to this point, which makes it very difficult. Now, our financial advisors are going to bring us some solutions on how to deal with that. But that's what we're looking at. When we get out here, what the school is asking for is it's much easier. It's much easier. But it's this short term over the next 4 or 5 years that is very, very difficult. So under this example, and you have this, that assuming, and this is just paying for the debt, just one for one, is that in the first year it'd be 62-cent tax increase, but then every year it goes down a little bit. This doesn't represent the whole picture, because you can do selling of debts in different years. You have some debt capacity that will reduce some of that. The schools probably have some capability of paying for some of this. We will be able to bring this down, and we'll look at that. But I wanted to just articulate that that's what we're looking at, is how to bring these down as far as we can. But what we do, one of the things that does tell us is if you're bonding for $150 million, that would be about $10.6 million a year on top of what we're doing right now. And we'll have to find some way to decrease that.
Have your estimates been made on equal debt service payments on the principal on the new debt? Or are you looking at staggering that some way, that it's not equal principal?
This is just straightforward. That I would take this as just, if you just had to pay $150 million and you had no debt out there at all, this is just straightforward. So what's your question?
My question is, have you looked at equal principal payments for each year? And I'm assuming you're looking at 20-year debt, or are you looking at 10, or what?
Yeah, in the next option, they'll bring you several different options of making the payments the same or all there. This was just supposed to articulate.
Both
that-
the scenarios have equal payments all the way
that
to 20.
basically, this is just, here's the amount of money, and every year you pay, you go down, but you can play with these numbers as much as
And
possible.
I hate to even mention this, but have they looked at reconfiguring any of the current debt?
Everything's at 270.
Interest is so low
Yeah, you
on
can't-
what we've got on our current debt.
Some of it's
Why would
2-3.
we look at,
That's what I said, I hate to mention it.
yeah, I don't want to.
So they're.
No, I don't want
to. I don't want to.
2.7% overall
Overall, yeah, but
on the foot. It's their number.
Yeah.
that's overall.
Overall.
But the huge majority of it is stuck in the refinancing we did in 2020, which is, I think, 1.9 or 2 or something,
Yeah.
so.
So, if you read more, I'm sorry.
No, I was just curious about that.
So, what we're giving here, 60 cents first blush, 60-cent tax increase. But this doesn't include any strategies, because Davenport hasn't brought us any strategies.
No, but they are,
And it hasn't brought us any city school offerings.
no.
Okay.
And it hadn't brought any city projects either.
Yeah, this is just that, I mean, I know. But we're talking just schools.
And what it also doesn't have is, this is also saying that you're gonna sell 150 on day one. If you stagger them in increments of several years, you can spread out your timetables and still reduce the stuff as well.
Does spreading it out also equal a 60-cent tax increase day one?
It would go down. Yeah, certainly.
That's what one of Davenport's
Yeah,
suggestions.
so this is just straight up, this is if you're gonna go and do that and you wanted to have straight proposed debt service because if you wanted to know exactly if you paid the same thing every year, this is what it would tell you. But as Bill was saying, all of the massaging has not happened yet. But, some things to look at are, this next 4 years that's the serious question of how do we deal with the next 4 years? And they will bring some solutions for that, but that's the critical thing. If we can get, again, every year we get closer, we get back here, I think all of the good work done by the city council in the past, will be reaping the rewards. We just have a few years to go before we get the full benefit.
I do think, and I was happy to be present at the last school board meeting. It's the first school board meeting I've ever attended in full since my kids were in school. But I was there to honor Mrs. Barbara Ector in a naming recognition. But it was item 11, I think, out of the first few, and the first few were this discussion. What I would encourage, Mr. Fivas, is for all of us who are sitting on this side of the equation, we hear from you what you're saying is this is going to require a tax increase if this is what we do for the schools. What I would like to hear from the school board in their resolution language, which I did not hear previously, is their understanding that what we are asking for will include a tax increase. I think going forward, it's very important that both sides understand what the request is and how to get to that request. And I think seeing that language in the resolutions from the school board, hearing that conversation, that to get to this level of education investment, it's going to require heavy lifting on both sides.
And a lot of education, there's several of you that have been down this pathway, is that there will have to be a lot of education with the public on why are we doing this, what are we getting, a lot of those issues, so it will have to be a collaborative effort in education of the public.
Agreed. Any other comments or questions from the council?
When was the last large property tax increase?
2017?
17.
For Mayfield? Is that hot, dude?
Police and fire.
Police and
Police
fire.
and fire.
12 and
In
12.
elementary
Well,
school too.
That also had
In the elementary
Cherokee
school,
Elementary.
Candies.
Yeah, Candies Creek.
Candies Creek was
Yeah.
in.
So it was what, 40 cents?
40 something.
Depends on how you look at it.
Look at it, yeah.
Sorry.
29%.
We all got
It's either 29% or 47%.
It's 40.
No, cents. I'm talking how many pennies?
I know, so much.
Do those rates ever
Yeah, it's either
decrease?
47.
Oh, yeah, okay, on reassessment year, I hear you, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Did the rates ever decrease in increments like we're seeing this projected decrease of property taxes over time?
No, we haven't, went up or down with the
I knew
rates
the
in
answer,
2007.
I just wanted to know.
Joe, what, you've been told when they think they'll do another reassessment. When do you think it'll be?
In the next 2 months. Next 2 months.
Middle of March sometime.
So if we're gonna do that, we need to do it this year. This is the year.
Joe, when we get down to the nuts and bolts and the cost and the increase in taxes and all that, you always bring something to us that says an average home, that this will be so much per month. I would like to see you go each one of our districts and pick out a subdivision, pick out a house, and put a number on what's that, how much that's gonna cost that household, what tax increase we're talking about. So that everybody understands, the taxpayers, they understand what we're talking about.
Yeah, I was already asked to do one simulation of that, and I can share like what, for every 20 million, what would be the expected cost for each home,
Yeah, but most of the taxpayers don't really understand until they start to write the check,
That's right.
you know, or until they're making that monthly payment to their lender, how much it's increasing and what it's costing the household.
And you need to figure out what the median or the average household price is if you're gonna, you know, and some people are gonna be lower than that, and some people are gonna be a little bit higher. So there's ways to have a tool that people can figure out all that stuff.
David, I appreciate your point on that because it gives us all the same talking points to talk to the community. We're not, dialogue is the same, it's not all. I think we all need to be on the same page when we turn this chapter.
And I would be remiss to not mention is, a lot of this is the school, is that, you know, we gave a presentation on what the city needs are as well, and then we'll have to, there will be options baked into what Davenport is doing that we'll splice those, and they'll come in and we'll probably come in early and we'll do a presentation and have several different options and look at there, and you guys can work with them on what the best scenarios are. But for today's purpose, I just wanted to give that as it's been a long time since October, and there's a lot that has happened since October, is to give you the information again and to get ready and as you start getting questions, that you have that, you know. Any more questions?
Joe, can you imagine going into this process if we still had variable rate debt?
Good grief. Be awful.
What do you want?
You wouldn't want to talk about it.
He was saying, could you imagine going into this process?
Yeah.
Going into this process.
Yeah.
If we had no idea what our debt service was gonna be.
Yeah.
Well, that's why he thanked the council previously for your work in getting us to where we are.
Again, if we had not made the decision to get rid of the variable, think of the shape that we would be in.
That's what I'm saying.
Agreed.
Yeah.
We couldn't have even talked about it.
No, well, all these projects we got going, we wouldn't have going.
I know when I came on council in 2016, Dr. Estes was pushing this.
Yeah,
It took
it
us to
started
right-
about-
it took, back to that time, I was on board, but it took the council changings and stuff before we got to the point where we could,
And it was not
Take
an
that.
easy process.
No,
No, it was not.
so my hat's off to Bill on that part for having
I
a
agree.
vision.
And to give credit to Sean and his team and the city council is that, you know, at one point, we had, I don't have the exact number, 125 million in debt, and I think now we're probably at 70 or low 70s. So we've reduced about $50 million in debt. And, you know, if we didn't do anything for the next 4 or 5 years, we would be we'd be McMinn County and have hardly any debt, which is always a good thing, and it's a good goal. But that opens up opportunities for other investments, as long as we're doing the things that best work for the community. Did have conversation with the county leadership and that doesn't factor into what we're doing, but to give a sense is that they are planning to do, I think they have 4 projects over the next 4 or 5 years. They're gonna pay cash for Hopewell. They're gonna have cash for Parkview elementary school, they'll do an addition on there. They're gonna do an addition onto Waterville, and I think they have something they're doing at Bradley High School. And so they are in a position that schools are putting money in, they have an arrangement that the schools are doing about half and the county government's doing about half, and so they're gonna be able to pay for all of that for the next 4 or 5 years, for doing that. Then, we start looking at large construction projects, and that matters to us because we would get, a fairly large contribution that will help a lot of this problem if we get to that point. But we can't rely on that, and we don't know what's in store for the future. And the county does have, if they decided to build a middle school, they do, by state statute, have one ability to not give our portion of that back.
Hey, Joe, has the city school system historically saved or contributed to capital projects of this nature?
There's people here that can probably talk a little bit more in depth about how that worked. In the past, they would come to the council and they would ask for roofs and all that stuff. And 10 years ago or so, maybe it was 11 or 12 years ago, they passed one sales tax amendment, and we give half of those funds to the city school, so they pay for all of their capital, or much of their capital, out of that sales tax. And I think there's some bond debt associated with non-sales tax stuff, I think, Sean, a very small portion.
They make transfer from their general fund, and then part of their sales tax fund goes to pay some bond debt as well.
Yeah. So I didn't know if I asked there, but as far as capital, in the past, they would come to the council for all that stuff, and now we give them an allocation, and they usually live within that.
1.3 million a year.
That's when we maxed out on the sales tax.
To do their heating and air, they have to do a pretty good plan, they put it in place, they don't come to us asking for little things like the county would. The county schools have to go to the county, they don't get any funds at all on that part. Roof repairs, whatever that may be.
And I wouldn't be surprised if this process that we ask, and they're not gonna like that, and I'm just putting it on the table, is that we will probably recommend that they put some funds in for some of this cost in the future. But we don't know what that looks like, or how much. But we also can't hurt their current programs as far as capital stuff, because we don't wanna start getting requests to pave parking lots and fix a AC unit and all that stuff, because we have to be fair about it.
It's a good question, though. Councilman?
Not the time.
That's all I have on the school stuff, but this is a primer, and I think it was a good conversation, but I would expect that we can go. Now, and these numbers that I had, if the program changes, if it's pushed back, or if it's modified in some way, everything changes, so it'll all be fluid as we walk through the process. That's all I have for my report, Mr. Mayor. I can go through the agenda if you want.
Please.
We have 3 public hearings. One public hearing is to hear comments on Southeast Land Trust for consideration of resolution of plan of service annexation from R2 to, or from R2 to R2 and multifamily zoning district. This is a .11 sliver. It's basically a parcel land that was cut in between the city and not in the city, so they're just cleaning that up for that. So it's very small plot. Item 6B is to hear public comments, request by Marsh McKenzie for the consideration of own zoning ordinance for .6 acres located at 3910 Georgetown Road from R3 to PI. And then we have 6C to hear public comments concerning request by Paul Grayson Smith for consideration of ordinance of 1.25 acres or less located at a property of 2121 North Ocoee Street from PI to CG. This is the building, I think, at the corner of North Ocoee and 20th.
21st.
And Robert can talk to you about that when we get to that, unless there's any questions on that. The consent agenda, we have final passage of zoning ordinance 2461 concerning request by BB&B Corporation to zone 3.92 acres. And this is the stuff that you guys had already previously approved, and that was approved by the council at the last meeting. And we have zoning ordinance 2462. This is the zoning ordinance at 1132 Wildwood. And we have another ordinance 2462 concerning the request by Mary Clark for consideration of an ordinance to amend PUD 53 to allow single-family residential dwellings in addition to multifamily dwellings in text map 50NB. And we have number D, we have resolution 2503, authorizing the mayor to sign an agreement between the city of Cleveland and Norfolk Southern Railroad Company related to the 3rd Street grade separation. Basically, this is the start of the process of getting all of that organized for that grant. This is an agreement for how the city will work with Norfolk on accessing and their property during that construction. Then you have items 10A, B, C, D, and E, which are all public hearings that we already discussed. And that's all I have at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Fivas. Any questions on the council agenda for the city manager? Great. Thank you very much.
Yep. And we may add a special presentation at 3 o'clock for an employee that was missed or didn't have the opportunity to get recognized at the end of December. So we may add that to the agenda, and we can do that at 3 o'clock.
Absolutely. All right. Any other comments or questions from the council? Seeing none, we'll move to item 4, reports from the council members. It's 1:53, so I think we've got time for this today. We'll begin with the 5th District, Councilman Goff.
Hey, I just want to reiterate Mr. Fivas acknowledging everyone who was working with the city and out there in the difficult circumstances with the snow. Everything I've heard is nothing but accolades, and very thankful for the commitment to the city and what everyone does. So appreciate that. I received a call from a concerned citizen, District 5, who's very involved in sports. In regard to the soccer fields, the lighting in the parking lot. So I went out and took a look, and I think they have a valid concern there. We've got a lot of lighting for the fields, which is excellent, but there's a safety issue there. Of course, at nighttime, the games are over, and generally the people walking, not participating in the game are quite a bit older than the people that are participating. So the lack of lights in the parking lot, I think, is something we really need to take a look at and see if we can help that out. That's all I've got.
Yeah, you know, we've had a couple conversations with the Soccer Association in the last month. And they had asked about that It was our understanding that, that they have gates there, that they gate that off. I mean, that's been the practice in the past. Is that
Yeah,
they-
it was closed and locked when I was there.
That they, exactly, that it was closed and locked, and that doesn't get you away from having any lights, but that's, I think, been the purpose of that. But we are having conversations about future modifications and to the fields out there, and to get more play out there, talking about turf and some other issues related there. It's been a good conversation. And they've put on the table talking about light, so that's kind of mixed into all of that, so we're kind of aware of that now.
Okay, great, thank you.
Anything further, Councilman?
No.
Thank you, sir. Vice Mayor Webb?
Tommy, I would just add my thanks to what everybody did over the weekend. That was an unusual snow that we had, and that it stuck like it did. And also, I think there may be some concern out in the community, those that have Friday garbage pickup. Waste Connection has addressed that issue. They're going to pick up this coming Friday what they didn't pick up last Friday, but they have agreed to take bags in addition to what's in your can. And if you have an old can that you want to set out with garbage in it, they have agreed to pick that up also. That's all, Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilman Moore?
Do you have any comments on the solid waste service, Tom?
No, that's exactly what they were talking to, it's gonna be doing.
All right.
Now, I will comment, just for your knowledge, Mr. Myers, their website, Waste Connections Cleveland, does indicate we missed Friday, but we will pick up on the next available business day.
Yes.
Meaning,
Oh, the next
They
business.
was gonna pick up Saturday, and then it was a little bit more snow than we anticipated, so they just pushed it back to next, because they wasn't able to run Saturday.
and I don't believe their Facebook page has been updated because it's been brought to my attention that the next available business day would have been today.
Right.
I know my neighborhood, all the trash cans are still out from Friday, and it was not picked up this morning.
I'll try to address it as soon as we leave.
Can we come back to that?
Certainly. Vice Mayor?
Let's see. Here is what their current Facebook page says. Sorry. Can we, go ahead and I'll come back to it.
Certainly.
Okay.
Councilman Moore?
Yeah, Joe, I know we signed in to start a comp study for the fire department. Where are we at with that?
I think tomorrow, we have the kickoff meeting, for that.
Okay. Is that just between them?
Yeah, it'll be a conference call, and, we'll have our team and their team, and we'll just look at, make sure all the contract and everything else was, look good and all that other stuff.
Okay. When is that? Tomorrow?
I think we were somewhere between, I don't have there, I think they emailed me back, this morning, and I think it's, 9 or 10 o'clock.
Do you care if I attend? Possibly?
We can talk offline about that.
Okay. Bradley County Emergency Shelter, have we done anything, have we moved any direction? I know Tommy was working on the grants and.
Yeah, we can, we have a meeting set up on Wednesday with them and all of the parties. I think the chamber will be there, and we will be assessing where we are with the property and the design, and hopefully, things are moving in the right direction.
Okay,
So on Wednesday, we'll have more information.
okay,
And you'd be welcome to attend that if you wanted to.
okay, yeah. That's it.
Thank you. Go back to Vice Mayor Webb.
Yes. Their Facebook page says, "We will pick up extra on the next scheduled service day," and then they clarified that that was your next scheduled service day, not the next business day.
Okay.
So,
All right, so it's going to be, if your scheduled service is on Friday, you're going to have to wait till the next Friday,
but they will pick up extra.
but they will pick up extra.
Yes.
All right,
I'll be happy if they bring me another trash can and put it in, so I can just keep it.
$10 more a month.
No.
We had that debate, Councilman. All right, thank you, Vice Mayor. Anything further, Vice Mayor Webb?
No, sir.
Anything further, Councilman Moore?
No, sir.
Great.
Thanks, Mayor.
Great pictures from the farm, by the way. Those were great.
Thanks.
Councilwoman McKenzie, First District. Thank you, ma'am. Councilman Estes, Second District.
Yeah, Mrs. Riggins, Dr. Elliott, it will help with a resolution from you guys with priorities, intermediate school, high school. If other things get on there like a swimming pool and all that, that really hurts. You understand? Okay, so, that's for the board and y'all to decide about if the half-cent sales tax goes that way, but we're gonna have to work together. It was difficult on the First Tennessee building. It was difficult on the half-cent sales tax. I mean, work with us on this, cause this is a heavy lift. This is a very heavy lift, and it is of utmost importance to y'all's future, to our future, in the schools. So, that's all, Mayor. I can wait till 3.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Cassada.
Yes, Mayor, I've got just a few things real quick. Coming off a hilltop on Ridgewood Drive, coming down in Candies, I had a couple of people speak to me about the right-of-way, who has a right-of-way on that, and somebody coming down and going towards town, they said they had the right-of-way, said coming across. I said, no, I don't believe that's so. So I wanted to ask verification with staff. Is there something unusual with that intersection there to make it safe? What's that, Ken?
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, it is. And Chief, I'm sure you've got a lot of wrecks and stuff in that area too, because it's so compact in there.
Yeah.
Is there anything, is there a right of way, Joe, that people coming down off the hill has a right of way, turn left, people come across? I don't think so, or can you validate that or qualify it?
Yeah, and Councilman Cassidy had given me a heads up about this, so we've done some looking at it, and Tommy and talked, and David Shealy, of course, is, I think what you're talking is that, and there's a
Yeah,
picture
the next
on there,
picture.
but it's hard to see.
Next
but
picture.
From, is it Ridgeview or Ridgeway?
Yeah, right there, it's orange dotted.
Yeah, so.
Going across.
That is just a guide.
Okay.
That doesn't have any indication
It's your new truck.
on
Yeah.
any of that, the traffic rules change at all. That just kind of shows you, make sure that you don't drive down the wrong way, because it's a split highway, is that you have to kind of follow that out to the other thing. So it's a guide. It doesn't, there's no special meaning about it, in no such way. The traffic lights out there are the ones that dictate, normal traffic, travel and all that. Now, we would all agree that that isn't the best intersection in the city. But then we would all agree that it's a T-Dot intersection, and we have to keep on trying to get them to.
Is there any way we can make it better in that intersection visually, or anything we can do to?
Yeah,
To staff
the one thing we
recommend?
talked about, that's good, I'm glad you brought that up, is that there are some trees, if you go back to the other thing, as you come down the hill, there are some trees on the right-hand side, or brush, a tall brush,
Yeah,
and we would probably want to go back, 10, 15 feet and really push and to clear that out so you come down.
There
and
is.
So you'll get to see the whole intersection
Chris, can you back the
faster
other picture?
than what you are now.
I think it shows another picture. You talking about right there in that little corner right there?
Yeah. Oh, he's helping us
Yeah, where the R is.
Yeah, where it's Ridgeway, right there at that corner.
Joe, I'll,
As you come down,
Yeah.
we would probably, go and, clear that out and make that a little bit more, sight visibility of people coming down that hill.
that would help. I would appreciate that. And Joe, I mentioned to you, I don't know if a lot of people up here doesn't understand that Candy's Creek going to Ridgeway Drive. A lot of people come down that way and go that way and go down Atkinson to go to Target instead of going down Paul Huff or going up 25th Street.
Yeah.
That gets a lot more traffic than you're aware of, I'll be honest with you, because it's a straight shot with no stoplights until you get to Paul Huff. And people from Mars come back this way too, and they come straight across. So that is a very busy intersection for people taking shortcuts, like going down to Peerless instead of going down 25th Street. A lot of people at Georgetown. This is another activity that from Candy's, everybody over there, that they figure that out, and that's the way they go.
Tom, are the yield signs at the top of Candy's Lane creating some confusion?
I think it's helped it. What we put in there, Ken, what you talked about, you talking about turning right on the interstate? I think that's helped it quite a bit of the.
I just wonder if that's where somebody thinks that those
I
go
don't
the
know, but
right
they,
way.
and I said no, but I said I would ask in the community, I would ask in our council meeting. I know it's kind of pity, but I would say I would at least
No,
be
it's-
transparent.
It's public safety. Chris, can you go back to the picture that shows the actual intersection with the hood of his truck? You know, Mr. Fivas, we all know that your driving class teaches you all left turns must yield on oncoming traffic.
Correct.
But there could be a sign hung on that wire reminding drivers, left turn must yield. I've seen those signs before, just like no right on red at some intersections.
Yeah, not that that's not a good idea, but I think there might be that sign, that same sign right at that intersection. I'd have to look at it again. But, you know, we could put up more signage and try to convey.
Well, I think that would do two things. It would convey the correct driving law, but it would also show that Mr. Cassida, the councilman in that district, actually brought this to the council's attention, and there's a new sign showing his efforts.
I don't want a lot of signs at our exit we're getting off the interstate. We got too many signs as it is now coming off the interstate. I mean, hang it up, I like that idea.
It'd be on the wire.
Yeah, I'll be on the wire. I
Yeah.
love that idea on that part. Okay, I appreciate that. Next one, Broad on the curbing. I had a gentleman call me. Can you go to the next picture? This curbing right here, they have had, I think 7 or 8 people's hit this curbing. It's not marked very well or that, it kind of sticks out, and they've actually tore the rims up and blew tires out.
Where is that, Tom?
It's right there on Broad as you're going down.
It looks like,
That's
Capital Tires down the right-hand
it
side.
looks like Express Athletics right there at that.
Yeah, yeah. No, Express Athletics is on
Oh,
by.
there's the details, Sean.
Yeah, this is,
Yeah, you're right.
and
Oh,
you
it
can
is.
see where it's hit it, and I think, Tommy, you put that out there after you got a call from, I know who it was, I'm not gonna say the person's name in a meeting, but, is there a way we can help identify that curbing? I would ask the staff, or does they have any ideas to some way, and if so, do we have other curbings in our community that we have the same situation that we could look at or address if there is?
Yeah, and again, Councilman Cassida gave us this issue to work on last week, so we have an answer for you.
Okay, well, good. I appreciate it.
So, you know, I think, it, you know, the purpose of this bulb out is that in the future, we will have city employees parked over in that parking lot over there. And I think what we're trying to do is protect the pedestrians walking from there on the other side and trying to make it as safe as possible. So understanding why that is there is because they're gonna have several hundred people walking across there, and there'll be when we get to that point, there'll be countdown clocks or pedestrian stuff there doing that. But I think this issue has arisen, we're not aware of 8, we're aware of a couple people, few people that hit it before we put the lines out there, so we had heard about that a little bit. And so, but since we put these lines out there, this is the first instance that happened. So what we would like to try is to put up some type of orange paint on that curb that you see right there, so that people can kind of identify it a little bit faster, so, you know, and you know, we'll try to look and see if there's any type of reflective things, or you know, that we might look at delineators that could go in there to do that. But we'll definitely start with the paint, and you know, we certainly if people are hitting it all the time, we certainly that's just not going to work, and if that's the case, we would figure out something different if it continues to happen after we take some steps.
Okay, I appreciate y'all looking at it, and let us know if you don't mind what you do or whatever on that part. I appreciate it. Last thing, Mayor, Joe, can I get an update on Gymshark Park? Is that possible? Is anybody?
Jonathan would be the best person to do that.
Okay, they're actively working on it, construction with the grading, and we met with the contractor, take some, they had a prefab bathroom that we changed order to a stick built, so we worked out some details of that.
Which we saved $200,000.
We did, we saved some money, but they had to make it with the new ADA code, so we met with our building official and got all that squared away, so they're ready to start on some of that work.
Okay, I appreciate that. Joe, can I ask whoever's involved in that, maybe Friday, sit down? I want to get a better overview, a broader overview of what it looks like, the playground equipment, and what, I just, because I'm getting questions, and I just want to see what the bathrooms, the pavilion, with the egress, degress, what signage we're using and stuff like that. If we could talk about it maybe Friday afternoon, sit down if it's available.
Anytime this week, I'll get something scheduled that.
Okay, can we schedule it Friday after lunch sometime?
Yeah, Jonathan and Brian are the ones that know the most about it, so I'll have them there. The other thing that we're looking out there.
Ken or Dan, if y'all want to be a part of that too, I'll invite you guys since y'all are representative in that area. And Ken, you live out there too, so.
Sure. The other piece.
Any other council members wants to be involved in it?
Yeah, that part of the other thing that we're working on is a change order that the contractor that is out there right now, and they've said, yes, they're gonna do that, we're just waiting on it, is to do the walking path underneath Candy's Lane and that connected into the greenway over there. So part of that project, that contractor will go and make all that work very well, and probably the next couple meetings we'll have that as a change order.
Well, that'd be great because the parking there, people can use it there and get on the greenway too.
Safely.
Yeah, it's a lot
I
safer, yeah.
think that's good, Tom, because it addresses the issue of restrooms on the Greenway too.
It does.
I've been
It
asked
does.
that.
And I guess my last thing is cameras on the greenway of Candy's. Or is there any progress with that since it's gone so far? Or is that something that's gonna sit for a while? Because I know the main greenway, we're still working on that.
Well, there isn't a priority on getting it done.
Okay.
But it's a little bit easier and I think we're trying to get the stuff that's a little easier
I understand.
at some point, Chris is gonna roll out from Tinsley Park and going towards Mohawk. Unless you decide to start at Mohawk and come back. I know there was some conversation about starting at Mohawk and getting, because that parking lot is an area of concern.
I don't have a problem with that, Joe. I mean, I'm just having people ask me questions because they see them on that one asking about this. So I know the priority is where it's used more, we need the cameras there. We're still young where we're at.
It's not a matter of where,
Yeah.
of the priority, it's just easier, and here's why.
Okay,
Is because out at Candy's Greenway, that we don't have streetlights out there to hang cameras on. So you would actually have to get a pole in which to do that. So, there. Now, I can see short-term that it wouldn't be a bad idea to have a camera at that parking lot, so we can see who's coming and who's going and stuff like that. That could be shorter term.
all right, I appreciate it. Thank you, Mayor. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Councilman May?
I'll wait till 3 o'clock.
Yes, sir. And again, Mr. Myers and both chiefs, thank you all for your hard work during this storm season. I know it's been echoed, but I think it needs to never be said too much that we're very, very grateful for all of the folks that helped us out during this storm. We have no scheduled announcements. Is there anything from the council, Vice Mayor? All right, we will be adjourned until